These are U.S. Army Rangers in the making. They are about to parachute into the high desert of the Dugway Proving Ground in Utah to initiate the new desert training phase of the Army's grueling 9-week Ranger School. In this exclusive look, this reporter and cameraman Ken Kelch will parachute with them and follow them through their training. The three C-141s approach the drop zone at the jump speed of 155 miles an hour. In the right door of the lead aircraft is Major General John Foss, commander of the Army Infantry Center. He and 6 of his staff will make the jump to inaugurate the new desert phase. In the left door, I will jump first, followed by a group called a stick of some 20 Ranger students and instructors. Like them, I am carrying a 60-pound rucksack. However, instead of a weapon, I have a television camera and a container strapped to my left side. 2,000 feet over the drop zone, General Foss jumps out. As his stick clears, I lumber out the left door, followed by the Ranger instructors and students. My 35-foot wide T-10 parachute snaps open, but I find myself drifting toward a mid-air collision with a Ranger instructor. To avoid becoming entangled in each other's parachutes, we automatically follow our training and maneuver to the right by pulling down on the lines to the parachute canopy and steering clear. At about 200 feet above the ground, I must lower my rucksack to get it out of the way for landing. I pull the quick-release attaching straps hard and kick free my rucksack, which falls to the end of a 15-foot line out of the way. Landing on this kind of terrain is tricky because the vast expanse of desert makes the foot-high sagebrush plants look just like trees from the vertical perspective, making a paratrooper think that he is higher than he really is. Focusing on the toes of my boots to avoid anticipating ground contact, I land on the desert floor. The balance of the Rangers drift downward, lower their combat gear, and touch down. In minutes, the Rangers have their gear and weapons ready and head for their designated assembly area, but not fast enough for a seasoned RI or Ranger instructor.
Rangers, move out at double time. Get your wedge formation and move out.
This is the Dugway Area of Operations, or AO as the Rangers call it, some 2,200 square miles of rocky, barren mountains leading to flat prairie covered with light vegetation, with areas of sand dunes 90 feet high, some leading to mud and salt flats where absolutely nothing grows. In May, temperatures vary from the 90s during the day to the 30s at night. Thunderstorms sweep across the area regularly. Rattlesnakes and sidewinders and fire ants are very common. Lieutenant Colonel J.D. Kirby, the senior officer, tells why the Army chose Dugway.
There was 2 reasons for implementing the Dugway Proving Ground training phase. The first is that a large portion of the earth where we might be committed in future operations is covered with desert-type terrain, and particularly high mountainous desert-type terrain, and Dugway Proving Grounds offers us that type of terrain and good training.
Desert terrain like this offers a soldier very little cover and concealment. Hence, a Ranger unit must hide during the day and operate at night. On the first operation, CNN joined Ranger instructor Sergeant Bill Ware as he guided his students through the fine points of organizing an effective raid.
Men, when you get your warning order, from now on, get the information that you need off of your order, if it's called in by radio or what have you, and get that warning order out. Another point, the tactical situation, here or anywhere else, dissemination is always a problem. A lot of things are going to get lost in the transmission.
Shortly after sunset, the Ranger students moved out on a 6-kilometer march across the desert to practice a night ambush. CNN walked along using a special low-light level television camera, which intensifies even starlight thousands of times. The Starlight Scope camera captured the claustrophobic blackness in which the Rangers must operate. The Ranger students trekked for a couple of hours before they realized that Utah had a different magnetic variation than Georgia, where they had previously trained. The compass mistake cost them at least another 3 hours of arduous walking, but they had learned a valuable lesson in navigation. Arriving at their ambush position, the students waited for an hour in the cold of the desert night before the enemy convoy approached. Using simulated claymore mines and blank ammunition, they opened fire. But the ambush was not violent or thorough enough for Sergeant Ware, who moved through the smoke and fire of the attack, mentally noting errors. He found a simulated enemy soldier that his Ranger students had overlooked. He then simulated the proper method for determining whether the enemy was dead or alive.
Alive! Get up here!
His students did not act quickly or decisively enough, and he criticized their slowness.
Damn it, Ranger, he's wounded. What the hell you think's wrong with him?
After a critique, Sergeant Ware marched the students to their next task, where another pair of Ranger instructors would take over. In a couple of hours, with only a few minutes sleep, little water, and no food, the students would attack again, this time with real bullets, plastic explosive, mortars, and rockets. In my next report, we watch what happens as an inside look at Ranger School continues. From Dugway, Utah, with the Rangers, this is Chuck Caro, CNN Special Assignments. U.S. Army Ranger candidates attack a simulated enemy base camp in pre-dawn darkness. They are using live ammunition and real explosives. This phase of Ranger School in the Utah desert is an 8-day-long non-stop series of practice raids, ambushes, and prisoner snatches done in combat-like conditions. The students get very little sleep, food, or water. A mistake here with live ammunition or plastic explosives can be deadly. The Ranger students are meticulously guided by their instructors who offer sharp criticism if a student doesn't perform correctly.
Hey, watch where you hold those weapons, Rangers! How come you're not firing, Rangers? Let's go!
As the attack reaches its peak, the Ranger students come online for maximum firepower and assault. Still firing live ammunition, they attack through the camp and secure a perimeter. Other Rangers check for intelligence information while demolition teams set their charges.
Let's go! You're ready, right? Move out! Move out!
As the Rangers pull out, the charges demolish structures on the camp. As the exercise continues, the Ranger students call in Air Force F-16 fighters. The F-16s roll in and drop practice bombs on the remaining enemy targets. With the exercise completed, the students march to a hiding place to plan for a night mission. The plan sours, however, when 2 students are lost. The patrol is ordered to retrace its difficult 12-kilometer path. The Rangers and this reporter march all night, seeking the lost and possibly injured pair. Finally, at first light, the missing men are sighted. They are unhurt and have built a signal fire. But the Ranger instructors are convinced that they simply went to sleep, a very serious offense.
You 2 cost this patrol. The mission was to snatch a hostage. What was the mission? Didn't they tell you after so many hours they was going to execute him anyways? Hey, it's execute time now. They probably killed him. If that man was killed, hey, we're going to war.
You know what else you did?
We're now in war. We are at a state of war.
You cost all your leaders their grades.
They're all failed.
As a result, the student patrol leader, assistant patrol leader, and squad leaders receive failing grades and are now likely to flunk out after 6 of the 9 weeks of tough training. The psychological strain begins to show. New leaders are appointed and the patrol retraces its steps again, 12 kilometers to a hiding place near the objective. However, as the Ranger instructors look on in disbelief, the new patrol leader makes a catastrophic mistake. He orders his men to assault across 800 meters of open ground. A move, say the instructors, that is guaranteed to cause heavy casualties and get the hostage killed as well. The instructors are once again severe. They fail all the student leaders and keep up the pressure. Despite the heavy psychological stress, no sleep, and no additional water or food, the patrol has marched another 7 kilometers to a daytime hiding place. Once they establish a patrol base, one student quits and others are treated for injuries. This man had sprained his left knee, twisted the ankle on the same leg, and had open sores on the opposite foot.
Why are you deciding to press on here?
Oh, you make it this far, you can't really,
itching all over.
not something like this will get you down.
Can you walk?
The only break I got at Fort Bennett was track over here.
Looking forward to make it through?
That's all I think about.
but injuries continued to occur. This raid against the simulated rocket base was an example. After a long march through a rain-swept night with temperatures in the mid-30s, this attack did not satisfy the instructors.
They need a lot of work there. Their movements too slow, plus the cold's hurting them, so we're pretty much probably going to have to do it again.
Meanwhile, this trainee, numb from exposure to the elements, was brought in. He could barely move. The ranger instructors, however, were not easy on him.
Get that wet gear off. Get it off. Get it off. Take it off, Ranger. Take it off.
But the harassment was part of the training technique designed to bring the semi-conscious student around. Presently, the students attacked again. This time, they were more aggressive and thorough, rapidly emplacing demolition charges, searching the enemy for intelligence data, and leaving the objective area rapidly. With the instructors satisfied, they began a 16-kilometer walk through the cold rain to establish a new patrol base before dawn. In my next report, a closer look at the instructors who run this grueling school. From Dugway, Utah, this is Chuck Caro, CNN Special Assignments.
Let's go. All right, we're gonna fire up all the remaining ammo. We got a reaction force coming in.
You put in a stressful environment. The RI is always down on your case and putting that kind of pressure on you. Then you got the other pressure of meeting time factors, limited food, limited sleep, and some people just can't cope with it.
Sergeant Mike Ramsey was one of the first Rangers to parachute into Grenada. He runs the day-to-day tactical operations of Desert Ranger training and has a reputation for being hard-nosed about maintaining realism.
And if it doesn't teach you anything else, at least it teaches something about yourself, because you got to be able to lead yourself before you can lead someone else.
It is Ramsey's attention to detail that makes the desert training very realistic. Here he uses a helicopter to check out the terrain and map out the most challenging scenarios for the students. He feels that going over the sand dunes to destroy this simulated enemy missile site and capture a prisoner or two would be a very realistic mission. Instructing on that mission will be Lieutenant Colonel J.D. Kirby, the commanding officer of the desert phase. Despite his seniority, Kirby regularly goes into the field with the students.
The best movement rate that you can keep out here, guys, is a good, steady rate of movement. This helter-skelter, speeding up, slowing down, doesn't make it, especially if you're back there riding underneath the radio or carrying a machine gun. That stuff just kills you.
The Rangers move out in tactical formation. They are very quiet in their movement, a noticeable improvement from earlier in the week. The training is sinking in. The Rangers arduously trek up and down the sandy hills for 4 hours, maintaining a loose column formation until dark. Using a special night lens, CNN walks along as the students switch to a single file, which in the black, moonless night is easier to control. As they near the target, they set up a hiding place called an Operational Rally Point, or ORP. The patrol waits as the leader goes off to check out the target. Suddenly, a flare from the enemy camp nearly discloses the patrol's position. Shortly afterward, the patrol attacks. Sweeps over the target and returns, leaving demolition charges to wreck the enemy base. The Rangers withdraw quickly and head off in the darkness to a new patrol base. Later, Colonel Kirby told CNN that he took such an active role to ensure the highest quality of training.
The purpose of the Ranger School is to try to instill in our students the leadership, the confidence, and the toughness that they would need to succeed on any modern battlefield. And they get out and serve in those Ranger units because they're dedicated, because they believe in what they're doing, and because they are the most spirited and the most disciplined soldiers that we have, I think, in the Army today.
The final day of desert training begins with a helicopter insertion deep into the desert. The Huey transport helicopters fly very low to simulate evading enemy radar. A Huey Cobra attack helicopter flies along as an escort. As darkness grows, the Rangers move into an ambush position, ready to attack an enemy truck convoy. A ranger instructor tells CNN about the operation.
Should be 2 vehicles coming down. And like I said, they were already called in position, so they can hit any time now.
The students are arrayed in attack position along the roadside. Though it is a moonless night, the Rangers use the brush as camouflage in order to hide from an enemy's night vision devices. As the convoy fills the kill zone, the Rangers open fire. Unlike earlier efforts, everything here is coordinated.
Go, keep firing!
Demolition charges go off on time as the machine guns rake the convoy. The machine gunners shift their fires as the assault element moves in rapidly to destroy the trucks. Wasting no time, a search team member hoses down the back of a truck. His buddy then hops inside to check it out. Down the road, a ranger student searches an enemy soldier for documents and maps. A second student covers him with his M16 rifle. With the raid completed, the Rangers lope back to the ORP to rejoin and disseminate critical information. As the desert phase comes to a close, the Rangers board 3 C-141 transports and prepare to parachute into the final segment of Ranger School, 2 weeks of patrols in the swamps and rivers of Florida. This is Chuck Caro, CNN Special Assignments.